Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Big surprise, The Wrap just posted this huge expose on Brainiac as the main villain for Superman 2, Man of Tomorrow, confirming my big theory. I think most of us believed that he was going to be the actual main villain of the movie, because what else is big enough for Lex Luthor to think that it's worth teaming up with Superman, the person that he's been trying to kill since before the events of the Superman movie even started, and now he's trying to get stuck on the Salvation Planet in the other universe. So we will break it all down, because this isn't the first time that a really big movie director has tried to do movie Brainiac. We've seen him on TV before, but we've never actually seen him in a really big movie yet. I think the really big question now is who's actually going to be playing Brainiac, because he's probably not just going to be a one-and-done villain. He's so big, he'll be in the movies for a good long time. When you actually look at the Wrap's report here, they don't say exactly who told them that Brainiac is the main villain. James Gunn himself didn't tell them that Brainiac was the main villain. I'm assuming they have a source inside that they just trust, and usually the Wrap is pretty accurate, so I do think that we can actually trust this report. Most of my talk with James Gunn personally was about the Salvation Planet and how important it was to the Man of Tomorrow movie. He was really, really big on that Salvation Planet, so we will see how that figures into the Brainiac plot, because it seems like it's supposed to be a big part of that. And if Brainiac is the main villain of the movie, it would have to have something to do with him.
Well, it's hard to say without giving too much away, Charlie, but like the interesting thing to me about Salvation and Salvation Run was I read the comics.
Most of our talk about Salvation specifically just revolved around his interest in it is in a type of prison that the metahumans, really powerful metahumans, would not be able to escape theoretically, because they'd be stuck in this other dimension. But I think the idea, if they tie that into the whole Brainiac reveal, is that theoretically Brainiac trying to bottle up the Earth would be like the ultimate prison for everybody, not just for metahumans. A really big Superman movie where both Superman and Lex Luthor himself are under threat of being bottled up and put in prisons of different types by different characters. There are definitely a couple of funny moments in my talk with James Gunn where he was trying to talk around big reveals, where he didn't want to give away big spoilers for Man of Tomorrow or other upcoming movies, but you could definitely tell that there was something going on. All that stuff with Lex Luthor during Peacemaker Season 2 was meant to be a more direct setup for the Man of Tomorrow movie, according to James Gunn. When the episode was released, James Gunn said that there's 3 real big teasers for the Man of Tomorrow movie in the last 3 episodes in general. This one in episode 6 was just the first part of that. In his own words, he just said that Nick, he talked about Nicholas Hoult cameoing on Peacemaker, is a big fan of the show, a big fan of Peacemaker. Everything is connected, so there's a story here that we're telling through the DCEU that is connected very much to Man of Tomorrow. But there are other elements, and part of that is a relationship between Rick Flag and Lex Luthor, and that's an important thing going forward in the DCU, in Man of Tomorrow, and so on. Basically implying that Rick Flag Sr. forms a partnership with Lex Luthor, like they're in business, Argus is in business, Rick Flag Sr. is in business with Luthor Corp and Lex Luthor, and that's going to be a very bad thing for Superman and all metahumans in general. So we talked about this arc of Rick Flag Sr. too, in addition to Lex Luthor's arc, because a lot of the interviews he's been doing, the details he's been revealing for the Man of Tomorrow movie are mostly about Lex Luthor specifically. So in the first big teaser, what he's actually talking about is that Lex Luthor has been sent to Belle Reve Prison. It's a couple months after the events of the Superman movie, which is why Lex is still using a cane, because Krypto messed him up so badly. James Gunn also revealed during his Superman movie commentary that Krypto would have killed Lex Luthor had Superman not been there to actually stop him if Krypto did not listen to Superman. One of his big things with Superman is his no-kill rule. Like, that was a really important part of Superman's character to him, but not for Krypto. He said Krypto does not have the no-kill rule. He's totally fine killing people. So everybody watch out for Krypto. But the big idea here is that Rick Flag Sr. wants revenge against Peacemaker so badly that he's willing to give Lex Luthor a reprieve in putting him in the nicer prison with no metahumans. There's also a lot of talk about who the twink with the glowing eyes and who the dragon skin person was. Probably Killer Croc. James Gunn has not confirmed who the glowing eyes were. Lex Luthor in context did not care at all about Peacemaker or what he was doing. Like, he's a costume vigilante, he's a nobody, who cares? Also makes you wonder if Lex Luthor doesn't care about Batman because he's a costume vigilante and doesn't have meta-human abilities or anything like that.
Just a costume vigilante.
And being goofy is no threat.
Later, it's revealed that Lex Luthor wants to work with him because he wants a solution to get rid of Superman permanently, and he wants to put him in this other dimension on the Salvation Planet and all the other dangerous metahumans with him. But mostly, it's about putting Superman in this other dimension, sidelining him permanently, at least in his eyes. My assumption with the Brainiac reveal now is that that will give Lex Luthor pause, like he will back off on his plan, like, okay, maybe we don't permanently get rid of Superman because I was not enough to defeat Brainiac by myself either. Superman couldn't do it by himself, Lex Luthor couldn't do it by himself, they had to work together. So at least the way that Lex Luthor will probably think of Superman going forward is that he's the devil that he knows, like, okay, at least I can watch you at every given moment, so I'm going to keep my eye on you forever. You have to remember that in Lex Luthor's story, Superman is supposed to be the villain. Lex Luthor thinks of himself as the hero. In exchange for moving him to a non-metahuman prison, Van Cole, which is located in Metropolis, putting him near to Superman and Clark Kent, reporter, because you remember Clark Kent Daily Planet. Part of me feels one of the reasons for this is so that we can have some scenes where you see Clark Kent interviewing Lex Luthor inside this prison, the way you see during the All-Star Superman movie, where Clark Kent is interviewing Lex Luthor in prison before he eventually gets out. Now, the events of the All-Star Superman movie are very, very different. James Gunn has described Man of Tomorrow as Lex Luthor having to be heroic, teaming up with Superman to defeat a much larger threat that Superman is not capable of defeating on his own, or even with the Justice Gang characters, or even with Supergirl's help. Most of the details in the background, the making of the first Superman movie, and deleted scenes and plots that he chose to cut out of the first Superman movie make it sound like Brainiac will be the main villain of the film. When he posted his most recent draft of the script, the picture on the cover most people took to be a Brainiac teaser because you see the human brain. He actually talked about this specifically in a more recent interview, saying, "Listen, of course I wasn't unaware of that when I posted the cover of the script, that there was going to be discussion around that particular topic, the fact that Brainiac would be the main villain." But then he goes on to say, "I think we'll hold off on what exactly is happening." So he was basically saying, I'm not going to answer that question. And you remember that most of the time, he's pretty regular about shutting down false rumors. So when he doesn't answer a question, it means it's probably true. He actually said early on Brainiac was going to be the main villain of the first movie, so it just sounds like he was saving him for the second movie.
What is the United States government willing to give me to stop this clown?
An opportunity for redemption.
So as they continue in Lex Luthor's cameo scene here, the idea is that Rick Flag Sr. tells Lex Luthor that he's giving him a chance at redemption, which I think in the case is teaming up with Superman to defeat Brainiac. There have been a lot of people that also said this is the path to him running for president in a President Lex arc in the DCEU. It's totally possible they do that because everybody hates Lex Luthor right now. There was another interview that he just did about Lex Luthor's character during Man of Tomorrow and why he found him so fascinating, why he was making him such a main character during the next Superman movie. He actually said he wanted to get to the heart of Lex, getting to know him more as a human being as opposed to just the evil part that he focused on in the first Superman movie. Like, they wanted you to hate Lex Luthor in the first Superman movie, but the reason why he finds him so interesting as a character, as opposed to say like Superman or Green Lantern or the other characters, like the metahuman characters, despite everything Lex has done, there's something incredibly heroic that he finds about Lex. And the example that he makes is that Lex, looking at Superman with all of his god tier abilities, the things that he can do, and still 100% thinking that Lex himself is going to beat him and genuinely believes that he's a better person, better just in general than Superman. And James Gunn just admires the tenacity, his towering ego, his sheer ambition. And at the end of the day, he actually said that he views Lex as the underdog of the Superman story, and the first Superman movie is as much Lex's story as it is Superman's story, like it's the birth of his supervillainy. So this is also one of the big reasons why Man of Tomorrow is a reference to Lex, like Lex is the Man of Tomorrow, in addition to Superman being the Man of Tomorrow.
Despite everything, that is incredibly heroic about Lex. Take aside, like, morality.
There are a lot of extra details from the Superman movie you actually learn from his commentary, so definitely worthwhile to listen to the commentary if you haven't actually seen the movie yet. When it actually comes to the partnership between Rick Flag Sr. and Lex Luthor and it being bad for Superman, all metahumans, the idea James Gunn was trying to get to is them slowly pushing Rick Flag Sr. on more of an antagonistic type of arc where he starts in Creature Commandos and you meet him for the first time and he's actually a friend to metahumans. Like, he seems like he has a good relationship with the Creature Commandos team at Argus. During the Superman commentary, he talks about how he gets more reticent and more antagonistic against metahumans and Superman, just in general, like the Justice Gang, because of what happens with the conflict in Jar and Purr.
And now it seems they're taking over the world.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, the Justice Gang and Superman determining international politics.
So it just sounds like if he's forming a partnership with Lex Luthor, like they're in business, working together now, there's a relationship forming between the two of them on a working level. He's just pushing Rick Flag Sr. in more of an antagonistic, darker direction in general in the DCU. During the Superman commentary, he also confirmed that the Engineer would return in Man of Tomorrow. There might be a little follow-up on the Jor-El message, but Superman himself, according to James Gunn, has already dealt with it on an emotional level and resolved that internally. But it's not the end of Jor-El and Krypton in general, just in the future of the DCU. We have General Zod. There are other Kryptonian characters that they can bring back in the future in different ways. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below and let me know who you want to actually play Brainiac in the DCU. Wide open casting right now, but because they're getting ready to shoot, I think that James Gunn probably has a pretty good idea of who it's going to be if they haven't already had somebody sign a contract yet. I was in the middle of working on a Black Panther 3 video when this news dropped, so I'll try to post that tomorrow. Be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Streets are also saying that we're supposed to get a Supergirl trailer before the end of the year. CCXP is coming up. I know there are a couple really big trailers and some Avengers Doomsday trailer stuff happening, so hopefully James Gunn will also give us some Supergirl footage. Everybody click here for my full video with James Gunn and all the really big stuff in the future of the DCU that we talked about. It was really cool. And click here for all my other Avengers Doomsday videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.